Seriously, what an epic day of college football. This is week 0. This is supposed to be, there's nothing really happening. No, a lot was happening. An FCS team, tough day for the Mountain West, because an FCS team beat a Mountain West team, and then a Mountain West team snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Not the way that Gloria Navarro's was probably hoping their league would kick things off, but the Big 12 didn't play today. Guess what? They made news anyway. So, according to various outlets, the Big 12 and Commissioner Brett Yormark are in real conversations to add UConn to the Big 12. It would be a phased bringing into the league. First phase would be in 2026. Then it would be all sports by the 2030s or so. A couple of thoughts on this. First of all, it would put the Big 12 at an odd number of teams. Ask yourself this question. Has there been a plethora of realignment moves in which an odd number of teams move conferences? Answer, no, there has not been. Now, who was I talking about earlier on this reaction episode of Locked On College Football? That, of course, was SMU. They, along with Cal and Stanford, went into the ACC, and there are 17 football teams in the league. Oh, by the way, just remember, 2 teams are trying to get out of the league, one of whom lost today to a team that they probably think they're much better than, because they should be, but yet they were not really from the get-go, other than the first drive. Anyway, I digress. You have 2 teams trying to get out of that league, and you have plenty of options to add 1 team to the league. That's on the ACC side of things. So they have made a move with an odd number of teams, but I don't know if that's going to last. On the Big 12 side of things, you're at 16 teams, and adding UConn aligns with the vision that Brett Yormark has laid out for the Big 12 Conference on 2 fronts. Number one, he has repeatedly, and understandably so, preached the importance of being in various television markets and being as much of a coast-to-coast conference as he can. It's why you've heard discussion about potentially, trying to add Pitt one day for a Pitt-West Virginia rivalry, or, bringing Louisville into the Big 12. That could make a lot of sense. But having UConn into the mix, is that a huge market? Is that a major football addition to the league that strengthens your conference? No, it doesn't. However, if you're thinking about the addition of UConn to the Big 12 in the football sense, and you're going, well, wait a minute, UConn isn't good at football. They don't do anything on the football field. I have 2 points for you. Number one, every conference needs Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's still in the SEC. I noticed they haven't been kicked out. What does Vanderbilt bring to the table? They're a school that aligns, on a university level with the vision of other universities in its conference. And oh, by the way, Vanderbilt is very, very good at a non-football sport. Now, let's put our thinking caps on for just a moment. Are there any sports that UConn is really good at? The Big 12. Oh, that's right. They've won back-to-back national championships. And who has spoken the most about the value of college basketball in media rights contracts? That would be Brett Yormark. Now, would they be able to work in a full share? And this move still has to be voted upon by the president, so I'll get to in just a moment. Would UConn be able to get a full media rights share? Would ESPN and Fox pay all or most of the valuation they give to each of those teams the way they did for the Four Corner schools coming from the Pac-12? I don't know. That might test Brett Yormark's theory as to how valuable college basketball truly is, but really it brings you to the university presidents, because they still have to vote on the matter. The conversations have reportedly been had, presentations made, pitches, and all, the whole 9 yards. Maybe not all the whole 9 yards. I don't know why it's the whole 9 yards. Just a quick side note here. When 10 yards is a first down, maybe we should think about changing that. I'm going to change that expression right now, right here on this very show. Maybe they haven't made the whole 10 yards worth of a pitch just yet, but the conversations have come from legitimate sources. This is not just rumor and speculation. This is a real thing that could happen. Now, will the presidents vote to do it? That's a question. That's a pretty serious question. So I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe you need 12 presidents or a 3/4 majority in order to add a new team to the league. Can you find 12 presidents who'd say, okay, we could take a little bit less so that we could add UConn? I don't know. I don't know if that's the exciting move in the basketball sense. Oh my gosh. I know I sit here as the host of Locked On College Football. You know why? I love college football. You know what else I love? College basketball. I'm a huge college basketball fan. UConn in the Big 12. UConn playing Kansas. UConn playing Baylor every year. Like, go down the list. UConn playing Houston. Man, that's a heck of a league. That's a heck of a league. And you might love it, and I might love it, and Brett Yormark might love it, and Big 12 fans might love it. But would the television networks love it to the degree where they say, okay, we will pay, and it's worth, adding this team into the league? When there's such a weak football brand, I don't know if it's going to be a strong enough pitch. Now, you don't have to have every president on board, but I just look at the landscape and say, if you're going to make an addition to the conference, is it worth exploring? Of course. Of course. Now, think about this. Now we put our speculation tinfoil hats on. What if you bring in UConn and then, do you know what's happening in the West Coast Conference? After this season, they're going to be adding GCU, who are a private school, big money spender, care very much about sports. GCU could become, who just won a game in the round of 64, by the way, also known as the first round of the NCAA tournament. They got to the round of 32 for the first time, and they had a very legitimate roster and went toe-to-toe with Alabama that went all the way to the Final Four. Yeah, so if the West Coast Conference, for instance, lost their flagship basketball program, Gonzaga, they might be more okay with that. They might not have as strong of a desire and say, hey, well, if you just compensate us for the financial losses, would they like to lose Gonzaga? No, but is it more tolerable if you have GCU there to pair with St. Mary's and those be your flagship basketball institutions going forward? Yep, it's at the very least more tolerable. So maybe Brett Yormark is saying, why don't we do a Notre Dame of sorts here, where Gonzaga is a member in all of these sports, but they don't have football. That's okay. We can roll with 17 football members. The ACC's doing it. They're going to make it work. Maybe that's the game plan. But as always, when you're talking realignment, it's going to come down to financial valuation. Is this deemed a financially profitable endeavor for the Big 12 to go and add UConn, right? The perception of it could be really good. But I struggle seeing UConn, is it easier in the Big 12 than other conferences? Sure. But I struggle seeing UConn thrive in football and become a winner there. Like, it's really hard. Maybe they just need to hire Jeff Choate once he builds Nevada back into a conference title contender. Because, man, that guy looks like he can really coach. I did mention going into the game that they brought in something like 24 Power 4 transfers. Like, they got some talent there. SMU should have had more. SMU had the better quarterback, but SMU was not ready to go. And SMU was sloppy. So a lot of factors come into play there. But maybe Jeff Choate will be the UConn head coach one day, and that'll make them a worthwhile football program in the Big 12. But the talks are very real. I understand 60-40, gut instinct. UConn does not wind up in the Big 12 by 2026. And they're a target, I think this is more like a major first step that leads to a potential addition way, way down the road.